This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I am your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, what's up?
Nope. And alongside him is Dave Oster.
God, I can't wait till that goes away.
It's not.
It's not going to go away.
January.
Someone in our comments said, Ricky, really like the what's up. No.
Don't encourage him.
Don't encourage him.
What's up, guys? That's all I'm saying.
I hate you. Anyways, we're going to be talking about Blake Griffin possibly going to the Celtics. We talked about Russell Westbrook possibly leaving, Oklahoma City and possibly going to Boston. Now there's even more talks about a different superstar going to Boston. So we'll be talking about those trade rumors. We'll be talking and discussing whether Tim Duncan is the greatest power forward of all time and really Tim Duncan's legacy as a player because he did recently retire. And we'll be talking about the Summer League and kind of about does it really matter? And Ben Simmons taking off 2 games. Does that matter that he's taking off 2 games? And we'll get into that discussion. But first, we'll get into Blake Griffin talk, someone who's already established himself as an NBA superstar. Blake Griffin, in rumors that the Celtics are interested in trading for Blake. Would it be the right move for the Celtics to go out and get Blake Griffin?
Wouldn't be the worst move. And I mean, the one thing I think of is you just bring, what makes this the most interesting move is you just brought in Al Horford. And the thing I'm thinking of is, Horford, he can play the 5, you can put him at the 4. And we were talking about in the Al Horford podcast, he can go out and step from range. But then I think, if you bring in Blake, you can get that same guy. You just move Horford to the 5.
Right.
Blake would play the 4. And the thing is about Blake, though, I mean, we talk about Horford stepping out and hitting some jumpers. Blake can kind of do that, I guess, but I wouldn't necessarily say
Blake's got a good shot.
He's got a good mid-range. He doesn't have a 3 at all.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
It drops off about 17 feet.
I'm saying from the 3, like we were saying from Horford. Horford can step out and at least knock that down.
No, but I think that would be a really good tandem down low because, like you said, it gives you both guys are very versatile.
They're huge.
They're both huge. Blake obviously the more athletic, but Horford no slouch obviously. And him being able to stretch out that floor, you see more teams wanting that center who can take the further away you are from the basket, the more challenge it is to have a true big guard you. And huge benefit.
And you bring that up, too. I mean, their other superstar there, their other all-star, Isaiah Thomas, he makes his money on driving to the paint, even though he is a little guy. So, I mean, you can
spread that out, give him the lane. Ooh.
Exactly. You can have an Al Horford pick and pop there at the top of the key. Al Horford can go out to 3 if you want to do that. Could have Blake sit at around 15 feet. He could dish it off if he wants to. Then he can dish it out to a Avery Bradley or Jay Crowder if they're still on the team. They can pop from 3. Al Horford can drive into the hole or cut to the hole. Isaiah can take it to the cup. I mean, you could see definitely a lot of motion in there, and that's what Brad Stevens really does, is a lot of motion in his offense. So I think the trade would kind of work for Boston. The one problem I do have for that is, Blake does make a lot off of his athleticism, and he's a 27-year-old that did have some knee problems before. But he doesn't have the best of knees. We definitely saw him go down in the playoffs or this season. So I mean,
he missed a good chunk of time this season.
Would it be worth giving up one of these possible early draft picks for Blake Griffin?
I think you take that risk. I think that right now you have Blake Griffin. I know he had knee problems. This year he only played 35 games. Last year 67. But prior to that, it was like literally 80 plus. He had a 160 and then 80. He's going to give you the majority of the season. I mean, I think it was just an outlier that this knee happened. I think because of athleticism, you definitely make that pull now. Otherwise, it's how far are you going to wait? How long can you sit on draft picks and not go for that ring? I think Danny is really going to make the flip and just be like, all right, we've loaded up as much as possible. Let's move these assets and go get some talent. Let's get this win now mentality going.
It all comes down to which option. There's 2 options ahead of you. Which one would you rather go for? And I'm assuming all the fans are going to pick option A. Option A is go for it and take the Cleveland and the Warriors and the super teams on just head on. Or option B, we'll sit back and wait until LeBron retires, and then the East will be easier. You're going to go with option A.
You just need him to fall out of his prime because the man's still somehow in his prime forever.
Yeah, until it's not the LeBron East. Everyone's going to say option A. You go for it now because stacking these assets is nice, but how well has that worked out for the 76ers?
Amen.
It hasn't worked out.
They're pulling the trigger.
It hasn't worked out because the process is still going.
We're still rocking out the process.
It's been 2 years.
But it was going so well that they basically fired the man and
that was because of pressure from the league. That was not because they didn't like what was going on. They were fine with it, and they consented to the process.
Are you looking at this?
It was Adam Silver.
Are you looking at this Philadelphia team and not saying, "Oh wow, they have Ben Simmons, Embiid,
I'm just
and Jahlil
taking that
Okafor."
with the Celtics.
And Dario just signed.
Yeah.
It's great to stack assets, but if you're a team like the Celtics, you got to go ahead and win now. And Blake gives you the best chance to win now over an asset that we don't even know who it's going to be.
Well, no, I agree with that because Boston and Philadelphia are different teams. There. Philadelphia is still a young team.
The Celtics, I mean, the only interesting thing, and this is the hiccup in this trade, is which picks do you want to give up? If you're going to trade Blake Griffin, I think the pick you have to give up is the Nets 2017. The reason why I say that is, one, you don't even have their true pick. It's the right to swap. So basically what you would do is from now, instead of us having the right to swap, the Clippers would just have the right to swap with the Nets in 2017. The reason why I say that is right now, and this could change because of the season and the college season. Right now, Harry Giles is my number one. My number one pick, power forward. Well, if you're going to go out and trade for a power forward, you have Al Horford. Why would you keep a pick that's probably going to be number one because the Nets suck?
I don't know about that.
And take a power forward.
Well, the thing is that this is a team that, in Boston, they're a team that is in their prime. And I don't think they want to give up any of Brooklyn picks because they are so valuable.
Prime is an interesting word.
Well,
I think it's...
They're a team
they're
that...
prepping for it.
Well, they're a team that's very close to their... That most of these players are in their prime.
How much do you believe... No, most of our players are not in their prime.
In Boston, they're either close. They're a couple years away from their prime,
they're a year out,
they're close.
2 years out. But
I'm saying they're more in their prime than young prospects.
Fair enough. My point is, unless they don't believe in Isaiah and they don't believe in Jay, then it comes down to...
We got some pretty good point guards coming out this year.
Well, there is that. But it's like when you pull the trigger, you got Al Horford, you locked him down for a couple of years. So obviously you think that this is your zone. This is when you're going to go for it. You might as well keep going on that same route if you truly believe that you have that all-star point guard and he's going to be the guy to get you there. You just went out and got a top pick in this past draft with Jaylen Brown. Look, you have these guys who are like, Jaylen Brown, he can score. We've seen that. He can get into the lane and get into the paint and score from there. His outside shot I still have questions about, but look, it just comes down to when do you think you're right? How much faith do you have in your team? And I think that now is the time to push that button. You go ahead, you trade a couple assets, you trade the future draft picks because, look, if I'm sitting there on the other end of the stick and I'm over there on the Western Conference, well, fuck it. Chris Paul's going to be a free agent next year. If we trade off Blake now, we can get some picks or that stuff to rebuild ourselves so we can either withstand that gap or just get prepped up.
And the one thing I do want to throw in there is I'm going to change one thing about what I said.
All right.
Not this year's pick, the 2018, because the way that it works is I guess with the swap, they don't own the Brooklyn pick. So it would basically be, hey, we're going to give you our pick, and that's how there would be the right to swap. So I would say just give away Brooklyn's pick or your pick. Well, give away Brooklyn's pick because no one's going to want your pick.
I think what it is Brooklyn owns their pick, Boston's pick, but then Boston can just flip them.
Yeah. So you'd basically, you wouldn't be able
Boston
to trade Boston's pick for 17. You'd be able to trade your own.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, the thing with this is, again, I would say you got to go later, or maybe what the Celtics are trying to do is maybe, also Blake does have an early opt-out this year, so he can opt out of his contract, so that's possibly what the Clippers are looking at. Maybe they are thinking that his injury problems are big. Obviously, we know the stuff with the trainer, how he did punch a trainer on the Clippers team, broke his hand, and he was out for 35 games, so or around 35 games, or he only played 35 games.
Played 35, yeah.
But yeah, with Blake, I can see the reasons to trade him. We also saw what the Clippers did without Blake Griffin, how good they were.
Which gave him some confidence, definitely. I mean, they've got the outside shooting. They still have a down low presence with DeAndre Jordan.
Still got Chris Paul. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it comes down to. But do they think they're going to keep Chris Paul this offseason? Do they think Blake Griffin's going to opt in? I mean, it just comes down. And then do you think you can ever get past that second round? Like, I'm sorry, you're going up against a super team now. It's like, well, fuck it. If I were them, I would just like, so now may be a good time to shop some assets, get some good draft picks for him.
I'm glad you keep bringing up the CP3 thing because this is the first thing I thought of when I looked at Blake. If he played any other position besides the 4 or the 5, the narrative that we're having about this trade completely different.
Why is that, Ricky?
Because if he played the 1, 2, or 3, I bet you that if he did, we're talking about a possible swap between Westbrook and Blake, because CP3 would be leaving.
There's already talks about that.
Brings in a
There's
point guard
rumors
there,
about it.
brings Blake Griffin back home to Oklahoma City where he was born. But to me, I look at it, he's a power forward. Why would the Thunder want Adams, Cantor, and Blake down low?
I have no idea, but there are rumors
no
because
point
everyone
guard.
sparks
Yeah.
rumors.
Well, yeah,
that are
everyone's
possible
going to
out there.
say, well, oh, yeah, let's trade him back home. But really, why would the Thunder trade Russell Westbrook to bring in a third big and no point
Who
guard?
has an opt-out?
Oh,
Yeah.
Also, no offense to Oklahoma City, but also who wants to go from LA to OKC? I don't care if it's your home. I mean, that's
I'd go from the Clippers to the Thunder, not the Lakers.
Your
I'd stay
hometown
with the
means a
Lakers.
lot. I mean, look at LeBron went back to Cleveland. Who wants to live in that shithole?
true. We just lost our Cleveland fans.
Well, I mean,
That was in silence.
I mean,
that
come
was
on.
in silence with them
I mean,
leaving.
have you ever been to Cleveland? It's
Joakim Noah comments here.
I
Insert
agree
those
with
right
Joe.
there.
I agree with Joe.
Anyways, well, with Boston at least, maybe their idea is if they do trade for Blake and they do give up 2018, they still have the 2017. The 2017 pick. Maybe they try to build a super team of their own through trades.
Look,
Maybe they go and
could.
get Blake, and maybe they go
How
and
the
try to get someone
NBA
else.
used to do
You
it,
flip
how
all-
Boston did it before.
Basically, how the
Boston
Magic
did it with.
Magic.
I'm talking about the Ray Allen, KG, Paul Pierce. That's how they built the super team the first time.
with the Lakers as well. Like in the early '80s, they just basically destroyed everyone.
How it used to be, where teams traded to build super teams. Now it's all about, and this is why we get everyone's mad at KD, because instead of the teams trading out there and building them, the players have more of the right to say, you know what, I want to play here and build this team.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a great opportunity for them, because we've talked about how many assets there and how many guys who are good, not great. They have their own specialization, so they've got a lot of role players. And the problem I see is that Boston seems to overvalue their own talent, maybe to a downfall. So it's the question of, are they going to be able to pull that trigger? Should this trade present itself? And the thing that gets me every time we hear about Boston being on the trade block, trade rumors, all this kind of shit going down, like whenever something doesn't go down, they're always quick to be like, oh, well, they wanted half our team for this, so of course we said no. Oh, smart move. No, I guarantee you that wasn't the final offer. I think this is you saving face. Every time it's just they pull out an excuse, and it's like, I at some point I just stop believing you. I really do.
So what you're
Like the
saying
boy
is
crowd
Danny
wolf,
Ainge is the guy at the bar, goes hit on the hot girl, and then when she throws a drink in his face, oh, well, that girl was a slut. There's no way doing that.
Seriously,
That's
that is Danny Ainge.
That's what I'm getting
I
from
was just
what
thinking
Dave
the boy
just
who
said.
cried wolf. Oh, we're
Yeah.
gonna make a trade. No, never mind. It's not real.
No,
That-
but
that's
he's
what I was
saving
thinking.
face, and that's the thing. It's like he's still pumping himself up. And I'm like, look, I love him as a GM. I think he's made a lot of good moves for him. But every time I hear these almost trades happen, it's just like, you're just an asshole now. I don't even... I'm just enough faces now. So fuck Cleveland, fuck...
But how do you think Boston fans feel? How do you think that rumor mill is
well, they
treating them?
feel
guys
great
got-
because they didn't give up all that talent for that awful trade.
True.
Plus, Boston, you guys have the ultimate scapegoat in Tom Brady, right? So, I mean, you can be happy about that.
I mean, it's one of the all-time greatest cities for basketball. They've got all the history, they've got all the championships.
and just in general too.
That too. So I mean, look, I understand that they got tradition, they've got all this stuff going, so they have a huge fan base, very passionate fans. But like, I really just feel like he's just throwing out excuses at some point until he gets something major done. I just don't believe him.
Now, with Blake Griffin, obviously, we believe in the Clippers. Do you think it's a smart move for the Clippers to trade Blake now? Or do you think with a weakened OKC, do you think they try to make a run at least for the title or at least try to go to the Western Conference Finals?
Go ahead and trade him. Go ahead and trade him.
Well,
That's hilarious.
Hold on. Okay. What? They were the fourth team in the Western
Can
Conference.
they get past the
You
second
couldn't even
round?
get past the Trailblazers. I know you had key injuries, but you couldn't even
Key
get
injuries.
past
They
the
lost Chris Paul and
Trailblazers.
Blake Griffin. They're two best players.
But even like before that, like I was
JJ,
looking
I
at that
believe.
team. I was looking at that team, and I still were thinking before the injuries. I was one that picked the Trailblazers to win that series.
Well, we were
even
very
with
high on CJ.
And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, the Thunder are weakened. Yeah, the Spurs are kind of weakened because Timmy D's gone. They had to overpay
Nah.
for Manu Ginobili.
Meh.
But it's one of those things where I look at the Clippers and it goes, it doesn't matter how far you go. you're basically going to be like the Thunder, or not the Thunder, the Rockets from 2 years ago. Yeah, you made it to the Western Conference Finals, but you got slapped down by the Warriors.
Zero chance of winning a championship.
I'm not saying they have zero. I'm not saying they're gonna beat the super team and the Warriors. But I mean, still, if you look at this team, and we obviously saw how key injuries were before. I mean, we saw Steph go down early in the playoffs this year. I mean, obviously we saw that. We see that injuries can be a thing. I mean, you don't think that a team of Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, and JJ Redick could at least go to the Western Conference Finals? And if injuries do help them, you don't think they can go to the championship at all?
This year, no,
No.
not a chance.
Yeah. Not at all. Even if KD goes down,
Vegas odds, no.
Because if KD goes down, great, you've got the Warriors from last year.
But
it doesn't matter. Like,
in the words of Mark Cuban from Summer League, they're about 4 great injuries away from a championship run.
Fair.
I mean, he's a realist. He understands. I could listen to his Summer League. Honestly, was the highlight. Like, listen to that commentary. I loved it. But back on point, literally, they when your championship hope is riding on someone else breaking a leg, breaking an ankle, something like that, you're probably not gonna know. Maybe you should just be like, what's our best option moving forward at this point in time? And I think that honestly, if they don't get in talks with Chris Paul right now and don't get in talks with Blake Griffin right now,
trade them both.
They're both gonna walk. There's no,
and then we're back in what we were talking about
because Chris
last
Paul
week
has already
with
talked
Russell
about
Westbrook.
Wanting to play with his friends, and now that KD has done it, he's kind of taken that away. It's like, oh look, it's he's already made that big blow.
Dave, don't get my hopes up that CP3 could be coming to the Bulls next year. Don't be doing that. Playing with D Wade.
But who knows? It just comes down to what is your best move as an organization moving forward? And I don't know if they're going to be able to re-sign all that talent.
At this point, it's trade Blake. At the trade deadline, it may be trade CP if you can't get a deal done.
But I mean, again, we bring up, last week we were talking about LA and how it's a win now city. So what makes the Clippers so different from the Lakers? Obviously I know
assets.
Well, hold on, but what I'm saying is,
look at how much hype we have for the Lakers right now because of assets.
Okay, but you were saying yesterday they need something right away because they need to start winning because LA is a team that they need to win right now. You don't think seeing a team that was in playoff contention for the past couple of years with a coach like Doc Rivers, with players like Chris Paul, who is a superstar, we have a player, but they have a player in Blake Griffin, and they're just trading this away? I mean, you talked about assets not being that important, where the Lakers have one of the most promising teams in the league up there with Minnesota.
That's where the perception
yeah,
is right now. The Lakers are on. We think the uptick because of their young talent, whereas the Clippers, it kind of looks like, okay, this core that you have may have passed, their window may have passed. And the reason why I say that is for the I want to go back to the Celtics just a little bit because I was going to mention Blake with this. A great trade if they want to get Blake, because even if he opts out after a year, it's a rental, and a rental doesn't hurt you because it's like, oh, we'll take Blake, try to win the title. It didn't work, doesn't hurt us.
And you could see the fit there. I mean, we talked about how well that Blake could hit his groove with this Celtics team, and I just think that
kind of have a mini Lob City-esque between Isaiah Thomas and Blake.
I just think it would be a really well-rounded team, and they would have their own big three equivalent. They could definitely challenge. I think they could challenge the Cavs in the best of 7 series at that point.
And it all comes down to this too: what was the big point that we made during the Western Conference Finals, during the NBA Finals? The play of the bigs. We were talking about Draymond being out. He's a big. We talked about Bogut's injury being a key piece.
Yeah.
He was a big. We're talking about how Cantor and Adams and Ibaka played for the Thunder.
K-Love showing up in Game 7.
K-Love, although he was just standing in the corner waiting for them to pass him the ball.
Well, that's why I said Game 7, because he played completely different.
But it's just one of those things where you see that happen and you go, okay, if that's how the Cavs and the Warriors are building their teams, let's do the same thing. And on the side of the Clippers, I know that they're in LA and they have to win now. But the one thing, the move that they're in now, the situation that they're in compared to the Lakers, is these are the moves that they have to make to try to get better because of the fact that core that they have together, like I said, that window that they once had when Doc came in is probably closed.
All right, well, let's move on. Well, one more final question. Should the Celtics trade for Blake Griffin?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in on it.
All right, and
Pull the trigger.
there's
fucking whatever.
there's also a rumor where we're tagging in former past topics where it's a 3-team trade between the Sacramento Kings, where the Kings would send Rudy Gay to the Clippers would send Blake Griffin to the Celtics, and Celtics, I believe, would send picks to both teams. So,
which would be great for the Clippers, because then once Rudy Gay leaves, Clippers become great, because whatever team Rudy Gay leaves, they become good.
Sacramento with Papa Giannis is going to be the next big team.
Sucked in
Papa
summer
John's,
league.
baby.
Yeah.
I know
Remember
that's-
when I said worst pick? Huh? Anyways,
It's
Hey.
summer league.
let's
But
move.
they've got other good picks. We'll get to that later.
It's summer
Anyways,
league.